Supporting rural Ireland and maintaining a strong agricultural sector in Ireland is a very important national goal, and indeed it's something that I think that everybody would instinctively support. And we've relied on the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy in Ireland, since we joined the EU to be our mainstay in supporting that rural economy. However, there's a very serious price to be paid for supporting CAP, and that price is paid by people, by farmers, by poor people in developing countries around the world. Because they can produce, although they can produce their produce much cheaper than we can produce ours, because of the subsidies we put on our food, we can undercut them and put them out of business, and that's exactly what happens. Most economies around the world, they evolve from an agricultural sector. That's the first thing that usually evolves, and then they follow that by developing a food processing sector and then developing their business and manufacturing capacity out of that. But by supporting the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, we're preventing those countries from getting on the first rung of development. I spent the summer out in Uganda. I was working with a new Irish charity called Camara that provides computers to third world countries, and I was out in Uganda teaching computers in the month of July, and it was very interesting for me. It was my first time out in Africa, and there's a few things that struck me. And first of all, one of the things that really surprised me was how lush and how green the countryside is in that part of the world. It's on the equator and they get a lot of rainfall and it's quite warm, so their agriculture really should be thriving. But because of the way of the Common Agricultural Policy, it's being blocked. So I would like to see us changing that policy so that developing countries have a chance to start on the developing ladder. Another country that's being blocked is Brazil. Brazil is beginning to get a foothold in Europe and selling their beef over here, and Brazil is a country that has an awful lot of very poor people. But the Irish Farmers Organisation and the IFA are constantly trying to block imports from Brazil. Indeed, in the summer there, when there was the outbreak of foot and mouth, they were very quick off the mark in saying that Brazil were to blame for this. And in fact, that didn't turn out to be true. So if we abandon CAP, are we abandoning our farmers? I think the reality is that we're not. If we look at New Zealand, which abandoned its agricultural subsidies back in 1986, agriculture has thrived despite that. Smaller farmers have done particularly well, and the environment has also benefited as they have stopped trying to work on land that's not acceptable. So, colleagues, I would urge you to support this motion. Thank you.